Okay, so I just want to quickly go over our compositions to avoid page. This next assignment, you need to create 8 thumbnail sketches for your final piece. And just to go over, actually, I'm going to go over the rules here again. You need to have minimum of 8 thumbnail sketches. You can always do more. That contain the following criteria. Now, a thumbnail sketch is a small sketch that you are using to explore your options in a composition. The benefit to doing thumbnail sketches is that they're small, they're non-committal, so you can really explore and think about different ideas. It also gives you a way, maybe you come up with a few different ideas, but something isn't quite right. You can always combine those ideas together. So it really is a tool that helps you come up with different ideas. Now, for this project, you have to create a composition that has 3 different lines. You have to have 3 different kinds of line. At least one line must be touching the edge of the picture. You should think about experimenting with horizontal and vertical composition, so you could have it long or tall. It's up to you, either edge of the page. And then when thinking about the compositions, there's a handout here you can click on that will download. I'm going to kind of think about compositions to avoid. So these are kind of standard ones that you want to kind of explore outside of the box. First composition to avoid is the center bullseye, meaning that you have one object in the center of the page. If you're following the rules, this shouldn't happen because one of your lines has to touch the edge of the page. You also need to have think about changing your variety. So if everything's too similar, it's boring. Unbalanced means that all your action is over to one side of the page. Another composition to avoid, a 50-50 diagonal split. Now, could you have an interesting composition that's split 50-50? Yeah, there's ways around it, but these are just kind of general rules. Sometimes artists break these rules, and they can break them successfully, but these are just general compositional rules. Unbroken shapes at edges or corners, that can kind of make the composition feel a little squeezed sometimes, so letting things go off the page is nice. Lines or shapes that isolate corners. Lack of repetition, so actually having some similarity helps to move your eye throughout the piece. Lack of contrast, if everything is kind of one monotone. With lines, that means that all your lines are the same thickness, so you need to have some thinner or thicker lines. And then symmetrical composition. The irony of this is we actually will do a symmetrical composition later in the semester, but sometimes it's that same idea of too similar can be a little bit boring. I just want to show you a couple examples of some previous student thumbnails. Now for your thumbnails, you want to make them about 3 by 4 inches. Our final composition is going to be 9 by 12, so 3 by 4 is sort of an exact proportion-wise match to it. So if you have something too long or too skinny, sometimes it's hard to create that variety within it. This is an example of a student's thumbnails from a previous semester. And as you can see, oops, it's not let me do the screenshot. As you can see, they've got a very interesting variety. One thing I will say that this student did not do, you should number your thumbnails. That way when you turn it in, it's easier for me to comment and give feedback to. So if I have instead 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 written small in the corner, I can give you feedback. Looking at these pieces, he's got an interesting variety. He used some implied line. If you remember from the PowerPoint, implied line means that he's allowing where the lines stop to create some interesting spaces. He definitely is using a lot of thinner, thicker lines, some more geometric and organic, and has really explored a lot of different possibilities. Some of these are more successful than others, but has really kind of thought outside the box, and they're all non-representational. So he's just kind of letting the line create interesting compositions. It's another student example, a little different. Same thing, the student actually numbered them. You can see it makes it a little bit easier to kind of look at and talk about. The student also has an interesting variety of lines. And as you can see, they explored a lot of different possibilities, some with a more, like number 8 is interesting, but it also has that kind of center target bullseye that we're talking about, we're trying to avoid in this piece. Each one lets some lines run off of the page. Has also explored using that big variety of pieces within it. So that's what you think. You're gonna pick one to make it big, but your goal is to just kind of give yourself a starting point. All right, and feel free to email me if you have any questions.